This is the latest motorcycle from TVS, and as you can see, it's the most un-TVS bike they've ever made. Where the company usually makes sharp and sporty machines, this thing is all about relaxed motorcycling, relaxed cruising sort of riding. It's called the Ronin, and everything on this is new. Obviously, the design is completely new to TVS. It's unlike anything they've done. But underneath it, the engine, 225cc oil-cooled motor, 4-valve head, that's all new. The chassis, it's all new. Let's start with the way it looks though. It's a pretty unusual looking motorcycle, and if you look at it, you'll see traces of different types of bikes. The front fork is quite raked out like a cruiser motorcycle. Then you've got blocky pattern tires out here, suggesting a scrambler sort of identity. Over here, the bike is quite long, again, cruiser style, but you get elements of scrambler design in the seat. There's some cafe racer design. There's an offset instrument console like the Ducati Scrambler. So this bike isn't really trying to pigeonhole itself into any one category. It's trying to give you a taste of various genres, cafe racers, scramblers, all of that in one package. Let's talk about this new engine. Now, like I said, 225cc, it's got an oil cooler and a 4-valve head. The gearbox is a 5-speed transmission. Now, the power characteristic here is very unusual for TVS. This is not about top-end performance. It's all about easy riding. It makes about 20 horsepower and just under 20 Newton meters of torque. But the peak torque figure comes in below 4,000 RPM. There's only one other bike I can think of with that sort of characteristic that TVS has designed this bike for, and that's the Royal Enfields. Now, we will be riding this bike tomorrow, and you'll get to hear all about it on Monday. But for now, let's show you what it's all about. Now, this being a TVS, it's got a lot of features. Let's start with this new instrument console. It's fully digital, again, completely new for a TVS. There's quite a lot of information baked into this, and then on top of that, TVS is giving you an app with multiple connectivity features. There are 2 riding modes. It's got a full LED headlamp, and TVS says they put special effort into designing this headlamp to not only give you the best illumination in the segment, but it's also designed not to dazzle oncoming traffic. So that'll be interesting to see how it is. There's a very slim LED tail lamp at the back, which looks quite nice. And of course, this T-shaped insignia, which is going to let people know what bike it is. Now let's talk about the chassis. We talked about the fact that the front end is raked out quite a bit. It's a 27-degree rake or caster angle. What really gives this bike identity up front is this fat USD fork. It's a 41mm fork, just like the RR310. And in fact, it's a very similar unit to the RR310. The internal design is similar. Of course, the damping rates and spring rates are different. But front and rear suspension, rear, by the way, is handled by a monoshock. They're both similar suspension travel to the RR310, but completely differently tuned for this bike in order to give you a plush ride. TVS has put a lot of effort into the riding position here, and the whole idea again is all about comfort. There are no extremes. The foot pegs are not at all rear set. I wouldn't call them cruiser-like, but they're right down there. You've got a comfortable hip angle, even for someone tall like me. Handlebar position, nice, low, wide, flat handlebar, comfortable reach forward to it. And this bike is definitely going to be all about long distance ease of riding. Now, let's hear what that engine sounds like. The bike has a silent start system. That's a pretty interesting note. All that remains now is to see what this bike is like to ride, and you probably want to know what it costs. Pricing is quite competitive. Prices start at 1.49 lakh rupees ex-showroom, and they go all the way up to about 1.7 lakh rupees. But effectively, it's a range of bikes separated by their color options, and that's something else that Royal Enfield does. What are the rivals to this bike? Well, it's really a unique machine, and we'll have to see how it rides tomorrow before we decide what it's going up against. But for now, that's the TVS Ronin.